ensuring that this collaboration will drive significant change by 2030. Progress will be monitored and publicly reported every year. This with this understanding that collective efforts and targets will speed up the transition. Now we want to have a conversation on this, and to help us understand more about the Kenya Plastics Pact are Vimal Shah, who is the chairman of BIDCO Africa, joining us via Zoom, and also here in studio we have Josephine Wawira, who is the communications officer, sustainable inclusive business at KEPSA. Thank you very much for joining us here on Bottom Line Africa. Maybe I'll start with you, Josephine. I mean, they do say ladies first, so I'll start with you. It's supposed to transform the current linear plastic system into a circular economic for plastics. Talk to us about that. How exactly?
All right, so for a long time, not just in Kenya, across the world, we have been operating in a very linear system. And when I talk about a linear economy, is where you take, you make, and then you dispose. People often think there's an away, but the truth is there is no away. When you throw away a plastic bottle or when you throw away a sweet wrapper, it goes somewhere. It's either on the drainage system of our rivers, like look at what has happened to Nairobi River, or it is away in the ocean. And statistics show that by 2050, if we continue with this linear system, we could end up with more plastics in the ocean than actually the fish that we see. So imagine what shock our children or our children's children will face when they go to the ocean to enjoy the fish that we have enjoyed for so long, only to find plastic. So it is a menace that has faced us as a country, but not just Kenya. It's across the region. It's across the world. And so, especially with COVID-19, we have seen a rise in plastic pollution. The use of sanitizers that were not as widely used before, single-use PPEs, the mask that you use and then you just dispose of. Yeah. So we have seen an increase in the use of plastics, and it is about time, if we have learned anything, that everybody now comes to the table and not just have discussions, but have solution-based actions and initiatives that are going to actually provide a solution to this challenge now.
All right. Okay, coming to you, sir, Mr. Shah. Talk to us about the solutions that are available.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. I think if you look at plastics, there are lots of solutions available. First and foremost would be for us all to work together and get a law that says it is illegal to put any plastics into the environment, which means do not dispose of it in your gardens or in your environment or throw it away, and really put it into a recycling bin and then make it happen. The options available are recycling it, because plastics can be used around 10 times again, and you can reuse and remold it into many more products. So it's a very sustainable product, provided we dispose of it properly. And then, of course, creating many more jobs across the value chain, where even in rural areas, you can create so many more jobs where people collect and really recycle it. So this can open up a whole new industry for all of us. And I think when you look at it from a perspective of what is the material and how important it is, I think it would actually help us solve a lot of our society's problems.
Talked about recycling, and this is something that has been discussed before, and we've tried implementing it before. How are we going to do it differently this time?
Very simply, I think it's not going to be by government alone. It's not going to be by private sector alone. Neither is it going to be by the people alone. Nor is it going to be done by saying, let's just ban it. I think what's going to happen is we need to have a movement of people where the private sector, the public sector, the government, people, everyone comes together and says, let's tackle this issue. Number one, sort at home, sort at source. Which means in the home, if I segregate the plastics in a different way and I segregate my other waste separately, I can really sort it out. In the same way, if we did become responsible, rather than saying haki yetu, to say wajibu wangu, wajibu yetu, is my responsibility to make sure I do not put it into the environment. Number one. Number two, there is also an extended producer's responsibility that's being put up as legislation. I think we also need to have a consumer's responsibility put in there so that nobody disposes of in the environment. But when we start doing this, we can work this so well. And then the other thing is that make it all recyclable. So anything that is not recyclable, we can actually say stop using. And we as industries, we as manufacturers, or even people who are bringing in products would say, insist on it being recyclable, reusable, and revampable. So I think with that, we would achieve a whole new world where we're not throwing it in the ocean or throwing it in taka-taka bag or whatever, and we're actually making it a very good product. It would also reduce costs for everyone today. So I think across the board, the benefits of coming together into a plastics pact is let's get everybody into it. It's not about a few people coming together. It's not about the government doing it. We all need to come together, hold hands together and say, let's solve this problem together.
All right, Jasmine, coming to you. This is an ambitious project with ambitious targets. Talk to us about those targets, because either way, when you start a project, there has to be a plan. Number one, apart from the targets, where is the first step?
All right. So to reiterate on what Mr. Vimal has said, is that achieving a circular economy in the country, does not take one man, or it's not about one organization or one player in the plastics value chain. It takes the responsibility and the action of each one of us. When it comes to achieving a circular economy, it's not just about the recycling part of it. So it involves a lot of aspects, and that is from redesigning and rethinking how we can, change the model that we've been operating on. So if it's a producer that has been, producing plastics that are not recyclable, how do we come together and come up with a model that is now going to allow plastics to be recycled? And like you said, unlike other initiatives, the Kenya Plastics Pact is guided by targets that are going to be achieved by 2030. It's not very far, and so for that, if I may just mention the targets, we have 4, and one is to eliminate what is problematic and what is totally unnecessary, because we are not saying that plastic is totally bad, but we need to identify what is needed in the market, what you as a consumer need, and what you don't need. And then once we eliminate that, we ensure that in target 2 we have 100% plastic which is recyclable in the country. And then the third target is to ensure that of this 100% recyclability, then actually 40% of it is being recycled. And then the last target is to ensure that we have 15% recycled content across the plastics packaging. To say this, you would then wonder, how are we going to achieve such ambitious targets? And so first of all is to make sure that everyone is brought to the table. Okay. For instance, for a long time when the conversation around plastic pollution and plastic waste management is talked about, we have sidelined one very important and key stakeholder, the informal waste sector. So we have had conversations with the government, with the NGOs, with the civil society, with the producers, but where is the informal waste sector, who plays a very key role to ensure that the plastic in the dump site ends up with the recycler? Because remember, as a country, we produce a very high amount of waste, solid waste. We are talking about 22,000 tons countrywide, yeah? And then one way to manage this is to ensure that we segregate waste at source. And so the Kenya Plastics Pact, one of the important things that we are going to do is to ensure that we sensitize Kenyans, we sensitize the consumer, you and I, that there is another option to you throwing away that bottle or that sweet wrapper on the environment, because it ends up into the landfills. Unfortunately, of that much, large amount of solid waste, 30% is about plastic and paper that can be recycled into other products. Yeah. The sad thing is only 8% of this is actually recycled in the country. So we are talking about 92% that is either incinerated or ends up in the landfill in our environment somewhere. Yeah. Okay. So being able to achieve these targets, bringing everyone to the table, and doing and having action-based solutions that the Vimal will come and say, this is what I can do as a member of the Kenya Plastics Pact, and then another member says, now I can bring this solution to the table, and then together we find a way forward. Okay. It's about time that we stopped just talking and talking and talking and start taking action.
All right, I wanted to take a break on that note, but when we come back, of course, we'll continue with that conversation. It's time to take action, but then how do we ensure that we implement this? We will continue having that discussion on the Kenya Plastic Pact, but first, that break, I leave you with Destination Africa.